3 potential reverse sweeps over the course of the playoffs, and they hope to not have to get to that point. But the Dynasty are hungry. They want to set this up now in their favor. And we're into Oasis, ladies and gentlemen. It'll actually be Marvel on the Sigma here as Super Smurf. It's going to be Hog and Ball.
I think you have the Sigma in play to help a little bit with the Tracer that's going to come out from Striker. So we saw how Striker was able to deal with Fleta, our Overwatch League MVP, in the Tracer head-to-head. This will profit on the Hanzo. He can definitely take out Striker if he gets a little bit too close. That'll be Fitz taking out Smurf early on as Smurf was going in, trying to disrupt. It looks like he actually got a hit with a sleep dart there, and they're able to deal with him.
Creative on that Ana pick. It's a very Asia-styled pick in that flex support role, and he has been terrorizing his opponents so far. And even with how durable Wrecking Ball is, a sleep dart makes him too vulnerable, and Soul start with control of the point. Jester tries to go for a hook on Smurf, but takes a lot of damage to pay for his hubris. And the Shock pushing onto the point here, so much so that the Dynasty have to play around Marvel's shields.
Yeah, they just need to back up Soul Dynasty. They need to heal up the tanks. They were both a little bit low. Now they can get back on and contest. As you do have a nano boost in play, they're going to throw it on a Gesture. And look at this. Just the ability that he can do here, Mitch.
Oh my.
He's going to get a hook here on the super, but just the threat of him with the nano boost, and they know that his hook is active, they have to get away from the point. They're still not able to get super out in time.
Striker brought back into the fight there as Prophet is knocked into the drink, but Gesture once more is looking for a way to forge his own fortune. Flanks, looks for a hook, but he finds a whole hog on towards Smurf there. Another fight that begins with San Francisco down. A player, Fitz gets the drop on towards Ant here. Oh, but he comes up second best. The Striker accosted him from behind. Marvel's hit with a Discord Orb with a point in the Transcendence there. Keeps the Shock topped up going into this fight. Creative force foul of a headshot from Violet. Striker has a pulse bomb that he doesn't need to use.
And San Francisco flips the point back. They do end up giving up 55%, but they do it with really, it's a Bob early on from Ants, and then the Transcendence to keep the tanks alive on the point when Soul Dynasty ends up using their Bob. So limited investment there from the San Francisco Shock, and they're able to flip the point back. So Valkyrie coming into this next fight, you'll have a Pulse Bomb. Striker is so good at landing these into the back line. You win another fight for cheap here for San Francisco. You're going to get above the percentage that Soul Dynasty has.
3 final blows already for Striker, living up to the hype provided for him, but Violet goes down early. It's a damage boost from Fitz that gets him across the line. Has to be a resurrect from Moth. He's able to do it safely. Striker definitely dodges the sleep dart coming at him from Creative and still has that pulse bomb ready to go, but Violet again falls. There's the trade. Moth goes for the blast when he gets the better of Prophet. A Gesture falls. Super finds a headshot with a scrap gun, and there's that damage boost to boot. All the resources required, given the Super to get that big kill. In San Francisco, Matt, they do what you asked for them. They get a second clean fight win.
Yeah, now they're going to pass Soul Dynasty in terms of percentage. Let's see what Soul's going to have to work with coming into the next fight. Valkyrie, Nano Boost, and the Bob from Fitz. So maybe you can use the Bob in test point. Put some point pressure on, get the Nano Boost on the Gesture yet again, and just let him take space, allow you to get some of this high ground control.
Tentatively, Prophet tries to take position here on top of the T. He's looking for the Zenyatta. The one Violet has to know he's being hunted right now. That's a Storm Arrow headshot, and Violet's forced out of line of sight. Bob takes down Smurf, and Jester's on the point to deal with Super. This will be Soul rapidly back in the driver's seat.
And if you cannot give up the high ground that easy if you're San Francisco. They allow Prophet to get into a position, shoot Violet from the side. They use the Bob, just like I expected, to get onto the point, buy some space. And now how does San Francisco go about trying to get some of this high ground back? Is I see Hanzo obviously able to wall climb, right? Can take some of this just stuff of his own ability. I think Prophet gets hit with a dynamite there, and they're going to use his shield to get in front of him, but Anza's able to take out Dangerous with the help of a damage boost.
Dangerous res from Toby there. Striker's able to take him down as he attempts to bring Fitz back into the fight. And this may well be a quick flip back in favor of the Shock, but Gesture and Prophet have other ideas. Dragon Strike now, I don't think at all Smurf was ready for that one. He's forced to back around that central pillar. Smurf runs into Prophet, knocks him away, gets a health pack, and then runs him down. Overtime sees San Francisco with a player advantage. Striker wants to try and force Fitz away, but he's booped off course by Toby. Eventually, the latter is taken down, and San Francisco prevent an early round end.
And you mentioned the Striker pick on a Toby. It's something we saw Seoul Dynasty do, and specifically Toby in the Philadelphia Fusion match. He was able to go for these risky reses and get them off time and time again. You're not going to be able to do that against the San Francisco Shock. The Shock here, they're loaded up, Mitch. They're going to have a Bob, double support ults, minefield. They're in a perfect position to take this first point.
Gravitic Flux is available for Marvel. That could throw a spanner in the works, and he's going to let it go early. Smurf drops in, minefield put in front of Gesture, but he's able to dodge out on most of it. Marvel a little bit low, and Bob comes charging straight at him, bustling as he goes about his business. Gesture falling to Smurf on the point now, and Arns is looking for a shot on Fitz, who's cannily keeping his head down, but the dynamite will give him a bit of a frizz problem. He'll be knocked off the edge now as Smurf tries to get to the high ground. He cannot interrupt the resurrect on Marvel, though. Prophet is down. Arns playing from a safe angle now, and here's the roll towards Marvel once more. The pulse bomb safe for Creative finds its mark, and now we're at 99 to 99, and the Dynasty are low on players. San Francisco strike back from behind in round one, and Oasis is already off to the races.
And they're going to need, Seoul Dynasty, they're going to need to protect these supports a little bit better going up against Striker. You know, what Gesture's been really good at throughout the Grand Finals presented by IBM is going on these flanks to the Roadhog, putting the pressure on the opposing team's DPS. It's very difficult, though, for the Seoul Dynasty to protect their own.
By the way, any crunches out there? Pringles Wavy and Cheez It Grooves are giving you behind-the-scenes photos for today's match. Just tweet at Overwatch League with the hashtag CrunchTimeCam SEO for Seoul or hashtag CrunchTimeCam SFS for San Francisco to receive a photo of your team in real time. We connected like never before, ladies and gentlemen. 2020, and we're into the second round. It's Oasis City Center as San Francisco lead 1-0.
In the Shock come out here with Batiste, potentially thinking Seoul would try and go maybe over towards the Pharah pick. They've done that before. Seoul Dynasty go with the Pharah, and against that, the San Francisco Shock have answered, using Violet on the Batiste. They don't come out, though. They play the Hanzo yet again here against the Tracer pick.
Perhaps Violet anticipating, something a little bit different from Prophet. The Batiste has definitely been something that only he has really gone for. Violet can play as an off DPS, especially once he gets an amplification matrix online, and that's a big chunk of damage on towards Marvel. Really putting pressure on the healing resources of Seoul as Smurf is able to deal with bits and then slink away with the shielding of that adaptive barrier.
But just look how much pressure they're putting on the supports here. Smurf and Striker just going to the high ground and just getting these picks. And there's no protection there. Toby's going to have to fly in here just to kind of contest Guardian Angels with his teammate, but no chance for a res. Really clean fight here for the San Francisco Shock.
So what Super was able to do late in that fight, Matt, he is 8 final blows to 2 deaths, and we talked about Gesture being a prolific finder of kills. He's only found 3 so far. Super is outstripping him in a big way, but that is just, that's preposterous. Prophet finds a headshot from around the corner and stays quite comfortably Smurf away from him.
He's always there when they need an answer, Prophet. He's able to pick up 2, even when the Ant Matrix is dropped. Shot into Ans. Fitz will finish it off as Seoul move in, try and take the point back. It is not a given they're going to flip this, though. This point is really easy to contest.
Yeah, San Francisco want to stall it out as long as possibly. Have a Valkyrie in play here for Mod, but he's thinking about pulling the blaster. I saw him eyeing Fitz off like a bit of a snack. He thinks better of it, though, and now that a body grenade is thrown at the San Francisco Shock, Super cannot stay alive, and Smurf gets hit with an accretion. Super will be resurrected, and that is a lot of health brought back onto the battlefield. The same is done for Gesture, though, and the numbers still favor the Seoul Dynasty, but for how long? Arns finds a big headshot on Marvel, and Gesture, despite having plenty of support here from the Nano Boost, loses the main healer and Creative, and this whole hog would be suicidal to use.
Ons with 2, Striker with another, Striker into the back line, takes out Toby. Like I mentioned, it was not a given that Seoul Dynasty, off of those 2 picks from Prophet, were going to be able to take the point. San Francisco Shock gets back in. They hold on. 80% and counting here for the Shock. You'll have a minefield. This will definitely make it much harder to take the point as well. This is looking really good for San Francisco. This is about as good of a start they could have had.
Devastating for Seoul Dynasty to have lost that fight despite starting so far ahead. Arns incredibly wary of threats from all directions here, and Smurf runs into a target he'd much rather leave in his dust. Tries to get away, but he can't. Gesture found him with a hook, and that's the Dynasty beginning this fight with a player advantage. Gesture has that whole hog he saved from earlier now. It's fermented, matured to perfection. He almost gets run down awfully fast. Striker gets an uncanny amount of shots on towards his head. He's forced away. Here's the gravitic flux from Marvel now as he's looking for support, I dare say, but Prophet, he gets gunned down. Striker finds him in the Discord orb from Violet, really helps get the work done. And that's a pulse bomb thrown in by Striker once more now. Jesse goes for the whole hog, but they've lost Marvel. It has to be a Desperado Resurrect here from Toby, but he's taken down just after. Creative may be back in the fight, but it's not going to be enough. And the San Francisco turn up in a sensational way in map number 1.